Hi. It's been a long while since I've done one of these talky videos, and I've been trying to find my voice. You've noticed, if you've been following me for a while, that I've changed kind of from doing these brain, sudden brain kind of discussions where I just talk off the top of my head and offer some observations about either a game or the industry in terms of tabletop role playing. And today, I literally just decided to come to my office and I said, I'm going to do a bloody video. It's the last day of the year and I haven't done one for a while. And I do have a topic in my head. I find that your time is important. My time is important when I'm on YouTube. I don't watch as many people as I used to. I've gone from talking, just being a talking head like I am now, to being playing online and playing with my friends and showing you games that are game mastered by Dido, who's in Cairo, and myself. And I think I had a video of Bruce from Edinburgh. And so a lot of different people from various different parts of the world where we've come together as a group of like-minded people who initially have loved Free League stuff and are, of course, very open to different gaming systems, not 5e or Wizards of the Coast. And I know that it is still very, very much loved, and you know my opinion of it, that I just cannot abide by Hasbro's company policies and Wizards of the Coast policies, and I do not appreciate a game that is not evolving with the industry when you see that the industry has changed so much. It's like having a website and going to visit a website and seeing that the website hasn't really changed in 10 years. You wouldn't expect a website to be exactly the same as it was in 2000, say, as it is now, or 2000 and say 5. So things evolve, and D&D has just not evolved. And there's some abstractions that I just don't find compelling. I mean, I played it, I loved it, it's boring now. For me, and for you, it may be completely different. And I do honestly respect all of our choices. It's just like our sexualities. We respect each other, whether we agree or not, we respect each other. My point today is to find a voice is kind of my goal for this coming year. There are so many inane, diatribal, conceited, clickbait, argumentative videos that are made in order to grow a channel. And I just can't do that. I've seen people move from being talking heads to going down to their hands and being like the original hand person with their crochet needle. The gamers bought her solo book, and now I can't remember her name. Anyway, uh, you know who I'm talking about if you're watching my channel. But now we've got people who are just showing their hands when they look at stuff, and we have people who are just constantly good, solid people, but bitching about crap about wizards, dumping on wizards and stuff. And it's like, okay, you know, it's getting old and tiresome. Uh, I was always told by a therapist, if you keep on mentioning the person who you've got an issue with or who's abused you, that you're giving them the power. And I think that that's where we're at in the industry. That when we criticize, we're giving them the power by uh, all criticism, all negative, ads, all negative opinions are end up being positive in the long run. I don't want to do that, and I try to stay away from it. Though even now, I've said how I feel. I don't think that it's wrong to express how you feel as a YouTuber. I'm not sure where YouTube is going for the commentator. And that's why I say I don't know what my voice is. If you're watching me, I don't want to waste your time. Just like you don't want to watch a reviewer and waste your time. I also feel that when I've watched people who've digressed from really solid content to holier than thou, and believe me, as a priest, I know holier than thou, uh, attitudes and opinions, we're just extending Twitter, X, Blue Sky to a completely different realm, and yet with the same type of stupidity. Um, Monetization, it's such a weird concept to me. Um, and maybe that's because I've got a job. It pays okay. I do struggle to buy games, but I always find enough money to buy games. But I don't go on holidays, and so, well, there's a give and take. So to find a voice in the midst of noise, and of course, we all after Christmas can see in our heads the Grinch's bongs on his head as he drums his head with all the noise. This is what's become of our industry and become of YouTube commentators on games that they love. And trying to find good content is becoming increasingly difficult, and so I have to rethink where I want to go as a person who's speaking to you. So the first thing I want to say is, don't waste your time on people who are not feeding you with something that gives you something that is going to encourage you in your game, or at least give you ideas. A lot of what I get from the discords that I am part of is they will put me onto other games, and they will bring awareness to me of other systems that I was not aware of before. And I used to think that the system didn't matter to the content of the world, but I'm realizing that I was very wrong. I was also very wrong about playing online and playing in person. They are two completely different things, but they both have immense value. I never thought that I would truly make friends by playing online, and I've been proven completely and totally wrong. The people that I play with, I do consider friends. Um, there is a distance, there is a wall. We do not know everything about each other, and that's probably a good thing. Um, so I'm happy with producing content, and I have some goals for this year in terms of what I want to do for myself as a gamer. So, and not as doing this reluctant artsy stuff. So what I want to do is I want to have a campaign with the Broken Empires. This is something that's come out of Evil Baby Games, which is the soloist, um, who is Trevor Deval. And I really believe in what he's doing. So my first recommendation to you is, if you haven't already backed it, I think you've got just a few more weeks. I think it ends on the 15th of January. It better, because I get paid on the 10th, and I'm planning on increasing my already backed stuff. So I really believe in the way that he's taken from The One Ring, and he's taken from Forbidden Land or Forgotten Realms or Forbidden Lands, and from and from so many other different types of games like BRP and Mithras and has kind of combined so many different compartments and different parcels into this one game, which I think he calls it Sim Light. It's kind of jingoey, but I do think that it's going to be an absolutely excellent game because it's not going to cater to all people, and it shouldn't. But it's going to be exciting for those who like hex crawling, for those who like to be surprised, especially GMs. So that might not appeal to you. I think that though I've always played like him, and I'm a contemporary of his, that and a Canadian contemporary. So we got the same stuff in the same gaming stores. Like we had access to the same stuff. So I know, and I bought most of the stuff that Trevor bought when he was living in Canada in the Great White North. So I'm I understand that philosophy of, if you're intimidating somebody and you as a person can intimidate at the table because of your presence, your personality, whatever, but your character, it really sucks at it, well, you're going to roll for your character and not for you in your presentation, or you may be a great orator and be able to orate so wonderfully well, or make up a poem in your head, but your character sucks at this. You're playing a character, you're not playing yourself. You're not going to get brownie points for being the best thespian. And I appreciate that, especially given that he is a thespian. So with that said, I think that it's really important to kind of look at this game from where it's coming from the fact that it's taking what he feels are the best parts and putting them together. And so I'm excited to run it. I don't want to particularly play in it because everything is kind of clicking in my head. And I'm really excited. I love Harn, but I find hard to be like calculus. And I think he made a similar analogy. And so I'm hoping that his world is developed in a similar way, and yet with the freedom to be able to table manipulize it. And you should know what I mean, because you roll on the table, you figure out where things are. I recently played with somebody, I think it was broadcast on Ralden Nash's channel, and I'm always supportive of him because I play on his channel some of his English games, and I consider Frank a friend. That Paul, who is from Wales, who's running a combination of Shadow of the Weird Wizard, which comes from Shadow of the Demon Lord, same writer, prolific writer in the industry for well over 20 years. So Shadow of the Weird Wizard, we're playing with that rule set. We're playing old school Warhammer fantasy role play, kind of first edition, second edition, little bits and bobs of fourth edition, but essentially the first edition world before everything was changed. We're playing the enemy within the massively great campaign, and what he did is he had us develop the town of Delberts. And so he had us say, okay, who's in charge? What's their name of this pub? What is the name of the pub or the inn? Is it an inn? Is it a pub? Is it a a hostel. What is it? Name the head of the guards and stuff like that. There was a real true involvement, and I like that. And so I'd like to employ that in the Broken Empire. So that's number one, is I want to do that. Number two is I want to play a number of games that are sitting on my shelf that I haven't invested enough time in or are being released this year that I want to play. So I want to play Tales of the Old West. I played a one shot this year. I don't know if it was broadcast or not. It was amazing. Bruce led it, and he writes a lot of scenarios for the upcoming release of Tales of the Old West. Tales of the Old West. And so Tales of the Old West is purely a historic reenactment game. It does not involve magic. It is set in wherever you want to set it in the 1873, I believe. And so, of course, we use our sensitivity and we recognize that this is not cowboys versus Indians or cowboys versus Mexicans or Indians versus Mexicans. This is a dynamic game, and your table is your table. So do whatever you want with it. But I want to play in it because it is. I want to do at least a one or two shot again of playing in it. I don't think that I'm going to play a campaign because it's limited time, but I think that it's well worth it. I had the most memorable time playing in that game. It was a highlight of the year for sure, playing in that game. Just a fantastic system. I really like the 5 dice. It's a year zero engine game. It's 5 dice, which are trouble dice. And you roll these trouble dice regardless of how many you have. So you have up to 5. So if you have, if you've got 3 in something that you're rolling, like any year zero game, or you've got 6 that you're rolling, you're going to roll up to 5 dice, and then you would roll a regular dice for 6. And if the trouble dice come up with trouble, well, then you've got trouble. You can buy off trouble with faith, and faith is faith in anything. So I really like the system. I don't think that I'll play in a campaign of it, but that's purely because of time constraints and what I'm involved in at the moment. But I think that it would make an excellent campaign. I'm not sure if I'm looking forward to or dreading the release of Coriolis the Great Dark. Coriolis the Great Dark just seems so distant from its predecessor that I'm having a difficult time reconciling myself with it. It seems like it's in the same world system, kind of, but not. Icons have changed. I mean, it's still we still don't really have a true look of what the fullness of the world is going to look like. So we don't know how connected. Now we know that it's set in the future, but is it going to be satisfying for those who love Coriolis, which was absolutely great? And I would say that it's probably a go-to for science fiction for me. For me, if I'm going to play a sci-fi game, I'm going to use Coriolis rules. Maybe I'm just ignorant. Maybe I don't know. I mean, Mothership is great, but Mothership is kind of horror. Alien is almost too PvP for me, even though it's not, but it can be. And I don't know enough about it. So I'm hoping that Mohammed Dido will play a one-shot. So I'm hoping to play that as a one-shot as well. And I have the game. I just haven't really delved into it as a player. So that's another one. But Coriolis the Great Dark, I backed it to the teeth. But yesterday in a Discord, I mentioned the fact that I'm bothered by the birds. First of all, they're forced on you. They're essential. You need them. They're like the canary in the coal mine. But I feel, I don't know. I don't know why I feel this way, but I just do. And I don't want to trash on a system that isn't fully out there yet. But it does seem to be taking a long time to get this out to the public, even in, I mean, it's alpha, but it's not really alpha. I mean, so, I want to play troubleshooters. This is kind of a comic book type game. Um, that's along the lines of Asterix and Tintin and those type of kind of pulpy 60s, 50s type of shenanigan games. Uh, Kind of like mysteries, kind of not. I mean, I want to play, and I've had the book for over a year, but I haven't played yet. So I'm hoping that someone will have that on offer in order to play. I'm just looking to see if there's anything else that I clearly remember mentioning as part of what I want to play. Um, I backed the Cosmere. Um, what is it? Starlight, I think it's called. I don't know. Um, and I backed that just yesterday. Late backer. I'm listening to I'm listening to um, the book. Let me see if I can find it quickly here, because literally I just got on. I just Skyward. I'm listening to the first book of Skyward. It's the first Brendan Sanderson thing that I've read. I read The Wheel of Time up until about book 10, and then I decided that this slog ain't gonna drag me down anymore. Fuck Rand. I don't care anymore. And so that's where I was at. And so I never read the other books that he wrote for it. But um, just like Terry Pratchett, I'd never really read him. Now I'm into like, I don't know, like 15 books that I've read so far in the past 3 months. And I love what he's written. So I'm looking forward to Discworld as well. I think the Discworld, I'm not sure about the mechanics, but I like the world. And so I'm more interested in what it's going to give me as a world. And then if the mechanics fit, the mechanics fit. If the world is fleshed out enough in the books, I may use another system to run the world. But I am kind of excited. I love the world that Terry Pratchett has. I compare it to kind of a Douglas Adams-esque type humor and almost philosophy, but in a but instead of in sci-fi, in a fantasy world. I missed the boat back when I was younger, and now I'm catching up. Uh, with Brandon Sanderson, I mean, he's quite a prolific writer, maybe too much in terms of the size of his books. I have back problems, so his books are daunting. But I do like what I've read so far, and I decided that with some Christmas money that I'd back it. Now I know that it's kind of D&D-esque. I know that the biggest kind of trick to it is there's some cards involved. I know that there's a dramatic dice, which kind of uh, changes aspects narratively because you've taken more of a risk. I like that, and I know that it's in Daggerheart as well. Is this where our industry is moving? Are we just trying to compete with D&D and that abstraction of things, or are we moving in a direction where we're taking different parts from different areas and saying, okay, I'm going to jigsaw puzzle this together to make the system that I want work? And this is seen in the two games that I'm playing in. Um, we're playing with Dragonbane rules, but with Icewind Dale campaign. So Dragonbane rules, Icewind Dale campaign, it's a mashup. And I find that it's working well. I prefer the Dragonbane rules. I find the Dragonbane rules to be really, really sweet. And I let it sit on my shelf forever. So if you've got Dragonbane, for gosh sakes, please play it. Even a one-shot or a three-shot, something like that. And I think you'll find that the roll-under system is actually something that you'll enjoy. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. And the leveling system. Oh my gosh, that's great. And I never, I wasn't accustomed to the BRP system, basic role playing, and how you accelerate up by rolling at the end and raising your points, which I think is similar to Pendragon. And by the way, I love playing Pendragon this past year. So Cosmere and that world, I'm interested in it enough to spend enough money to get the books in and to see. And I'm going to start reading them after I finish the Skyward series. So I'm gonna start. I'll read Mist Vale or whatever it's called first, and then I'll work my way up. Uh, so I wanted to kind of look at things that were coming up this year. So that's kind of personal goals. That's what I want to play. Are those things? Obviously, there's always the annual. I need to lose weight. Well, I've gained 5 pounds and I need to lose weight. WTF? Let's see if in March I actually have done that. But that's none of your concern. My personal goals are those. My channel goals are, as I said in the beginning, I'm trying to find a voice. And if you're a YouTuber or you're looking to get into YouTubing, I guess the first thing is be honest to yourself and don't waste people's time. And look, by this point, people have clicked off, or you're still with me because you're wondering where the fuck is he going. I just don't. I mean, I'm not going to make a video, and this is why I haven't made a video for like, I don't know, 3 months or something like that. Is because why make a video for the sake of making a video? I'm not making this video for the sake of making a video as much as I'm making a video to say to myself, with nothing in my head other than just spewing off, to say, this is what I'm thinking about. This is where I'm at with my gaming. And this is where maybe you should be looking toward for 2025. What are your gaming goals? And if you're a YouTuber, what are your YouTuber goals? Do you have anything to contribute to the noise that's out there? And so I'm not going to make another video until I feel that I really have something to contribute. It may be a review of a game that's been left and not promoted enough. I think that my most anticipated game of this year is The Broken Empires. That I'm jonesing for it. And I've watched Trevor play it in his 4th season solo, but it's not a solo game. But seeing its development, seeing the way he's played his solo games, I mean, he's a lot to take in. I understand that. He's a particular person, and he's himself, and himself is bigger than life and all over the place, and that's awesome. And I appreciate that because he's coming across as the person that he is, and he also is coming across as a personality that he is, and I think that he recognizes both. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm talking to you like I would talk to you in my living room, my office, whatever. So my main goal is to find a voice. Now, I wanted to do a video on ADHD autism, and the reason is that I've always kind of known that I'm ADHD. You should know. But I'm also autistic, and I didn't discover this until the kind of early fall when my doctor, I kind of looked up things online. I went to, one of my children have autism, which I didn't know growing up. I didn't think about it. I was just quirky child, love them, whatever. But But definitely now that I've looked, read, done various tests, that my doctor informed me, well, I've always known. She's been my doctor for about 12 years now. And she said, yeah, and it's your children and your wife. And I was like, and she said, yeah, people don't understand that autism isn't this stereotypical imagining of a silent child spinning around the floor or not paying attention or whatever. That there's a lot of heavy masking, and these people who do videos on masking, which is essentially trying to act normal when you're not normal. But what the frig is normal? The more I look around, the more I realize that there's absolutely nobody who's normal. There's no normies out there. Everybody has some level of dissonance with their brain and their chemistry. And so we're all kind of muddling along with various degrees of neurodivergence. I think that neurodivergence is just a buzzword for humanity. But I got it. And how has it affected my gaming? Well, this is an example of the inane talking that I I do. And maybe it resonates with you because you think in a similar way that I do, where you just have these ideas and they rush and flood out. Maybe you're on the autistic spectrum where you hyper focus. Maybe you're on the autistic spectrum where you over plan. And I think that's the video that I may make next, is over planning. I failed a number of university courses, a great number of university courses, because I'd have 100 sources for 1,500 word essay for a BA program in literature. And I'm not joking. I would get easily 100 sources. I would overplan. And the same thing is true for role playing. I overplan. And if you've been following me for a number of years, you will know that about 4 or 5 years ago, when I tried to do a mashup with Vasan and another Regency period game that's name escapes me at the moment, and set it in a Regency period. I went on, I guess, an AI site, an early AI site, which is you are not real, or this person isn't real, or whatever. And I got up some faces of what I thought were actors who would be a visualization of these parts. Well, now that's friggin' all over the place. And if I had the money, I would pay an artist. My daughter is an artist. My daughter is going into 3D design, is studying finishing off a Bachelor of Applied Arts. So I absolutely support artists, but I also support the AI system because it's not going away. What the hell are you going to do? You can't. What are you going to do? Go out and break the machines like the Luddites did in the 18th century when mechanisms were going? I mean, it's just you either join with and try to work with and not avoid paying artists. It will work out in the courts. Like, I believe in the court system, certainly not the American court system, but I'm a Canadian, so who the hell knows? We're just the 51st state in some people's minds. So I like putting up images that are generated because I know that they're not copyrighted. I know. It breaks my heart. But they're images that I've selected by vision to say, this is how I envision this part of my world, or this is, and so it's a way of actually decompressing my autism, where I would get like all of these pictures and go nuts trying to over planning, and then details of maps where I'm over planning. So I might do a video, but I don't want to be another voice that says, oh, look at me, I'm neurodivergent, pay attention to me, because Yeah, you know, I just, I don't know. I find Dungeons and Dyslexia. I think that's the guy's name. He's really impressed me with a couple of his recent videos, and I think you should check him out. One of the few names that comes to my mind, right? Dungeons and Dyslexia. He's really, really good. And I don't know if I'm dyslexic as well. I think that I am, kind of, but it may just be that autism in the reading, which is the issue. So, and that's an issue. I can scan for sources, but reading how to make a character, reading the world is daunting. And maybe for you it's daunting. Um, and I have some tricks that I've learned over the years of how to get by and how to try to limit myself. Again, future video. Uh, my reluctant artsy goals are also to kind of keep on broadcasting other people GMing, maybe myself GMing if I do this. Um, uh, the Broken Empires. I think that it deserves to be shown. I'm not too sure what I think about uh, Daggerheart. I I want to like it. It's very very similar to uh, this Cosmere system that's been developed and is going to get dropped probably around the same time as Daggerheart. I think what they're going to do is cannibalize each other, and I think that uh, I think that they're going to be the two biggies that are doing things. Um, and sadly, I don't think that Dragonbane is going to get enough airtime because it isn't as narrative based. But and I believe that it was Dungeons and Dyslexia. Maybe it was somebody else that I was watching that, and I'm just going to check my YouTube because I'm going to check my history because I think that there was somebody who did something. It wasn't that long ago. You don't want to listen to my Portuguese stuff. Stormlight role playing game. Yes, that's Stormlight. Let me view all because I really wanna promote this person or at least this video. Yeah, it's by Jack. 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 He has the future of TTRPGs. Okay, so tabletop role playing games, TTRPGs in 2025. Um, he has some really interesting observations, and I do encourage you to watch his video. Jack, the future of TTRPGs in 2025. He, I think, is making a very good case for bits and pieces coming together in this new year of people realizing that there is more to life than fifth edition. There's more to life than whatever you're playing. So I love playing Dragonbane, but I also realize that there are more systems out there that I really enjoy. Am I a narrative person? Am I a board gamey type of role player for tactics and all that stuff? I'm I've been playing since I was, I don't know, 15, 14, 15. And so I've been playing for like 45 years. And I'm still learning. And I think that if you're younger and you're watching this, why? Then you should realize that you're always going to be changing and always, or you should always be changing and developing your ideas about role playing and how role playing affects you as a person, your joys, your memories. What is memorable? What was your memorable game this year? Don't make comments. That's for algorithm shit. But think to yourself, what was your favorite game? what really impacted you this year? What surprised you? These are things that I'm going through. I was surprised by how much I really enjoyed Tales of the Old West. Even though I've supported the creators, I love the creators, they're friends, but I've been kind of on the fence about how, and I live in Canada, and as a priest in the Anglican Church, I have a lot of baggage because of the Truth and Reconciliation responsibilities that we have here in Canada about how we, as an institution, and even though my parents are, second generation immigrants from England, we're all part of the problem with the Indigenous community in terms of how they have been treated and how we've turned a blind eye. So a game about natives is something that is loaded with layers of worry. I would imagine that possibly in America the same is true of looking uh, at New Mexico and the Mexican situation in 1870s, and also the native situation of the 1870s. You've still got the wake of Custer and and the little bighorn and so many atrocities. And so I was really worried about playing the game, and I played the native in this game that we played. I just found it to be really, really good in the same way that I felt that The Walking Dead is so darn good, so sweet. And the youth that I play with are constantly asking to play it again. They absolutely love The Walking Dead universe. And so it kind of, it's in that same type of niche in terms of being relatively modern day, at least it's that thought of how to express your character. Your character is more of a person, and the zombies are the backdrop. Well, in Tales of the Old West, the environment is your backdrop. And so I think that it would suit very well those who are strategy people and those who are also narrative and character role play in voice and stuff. I think that that also is conducive. But this guy Jack speaks about how games in this coming year and in the current year, people are realizing that you don't have to choose a game that suits everyone. And what fifth edition tries to do is be all things to all people. Let's try to just make sure that we make everyone happy. And you're just not. And so many voices are out there criticizing this new edition. Well, the new edition is what it is because their directive is to try to encompass every last possible way of playing. And you can do that. You can try to do that. And obviously, they've been successful for 10 years. Obviously, they've been successful for 50 years. But with so many games on the market, we're getting into more niche where games are being specifically written as narrative games, specifically almost board game-esque games where you're doing more, what is it, Frostgrave, I think it's called, where there's a narrative element to it, but really it's more like a board game, but you've got spells and you've got guns and you're doing tactical decisions, and it's kind of similar to Warhammer, but it's you also have personalities, and so it's a strange mix. So you're getting all of the, and so people are being given the autonomy and the agency to say, hey, you're different, you like this, play this and find the people that you want to play with. So I really appreciate what Jack put on his video. So I'm going to wrap it up. I mean, these are my goals for this year. I'm not going to do another video like this where I'm just a talking head. Maybe next year at this time, as we move into the new year, I'll revisit this and say, okay, this is what I did, and this is how I did it. Last year I said I was going to play online games and I was going to GM online, and I've done that. 100%. There were some games that I didn't play that I wanted to play, but like Hexen, but it hasn't come out in English yet, and I was converting it into English, and then all of a sudden AI has become absolutely fantastic, and so I think that they've got AI doing their translation and then doubling up on it and stuff. Whatever, it's fine. I think Hexen is a great game, but I think that I think that Broken Empires is going to fill that niche in a way, but I also think that Tales of the Weird Wizard, no, Secrets, Shadow of the Weird Wizard is filling that gap. Now, I want to mention that the author of Tales of the Weird Wizard was extremely generous to my program for the youth. And I didn't really have Secrets or Shadows of the Weird Wizard on my list, and so I discovered it through a friend on Discord, and he put me onto this system, and a group of us agreed to play it. And so I was really blown away by the nature of the book. And I apologize for scanning my emails to find the name. But I am a brain-dead individual who has a hard time remembering stuff off the top of my head. All right, I found it. I had to go into my sent box. Robert Schwalb. Robert Schwalb, I don't know the guy. I've seen him in a couple of interviews just lately. I never played Shadows of the Demon Lord. It just wasn't on my radar. I knew of it, but didn't, there's only so many games that you can play, right? And so I wrote him and asked him, would you be willing to support my my youth games? And so I have, I do one at the school. As some of you know, I do one at the middle school for 12 to 14-year-olds. And then I have a youth group, which I have 12 to 15-year-olds, but the majority of them are 15, like the vast majority. So we have 7 players playing, and he sent us 3 books of the core. And I thank him very, very much for this donation. I asked him if he would be open for me to mention this publicly, and he was. And I think that more gaming companies should support I wouldn't particularly say youth groups. That just happens to be a benefit that has come off of having the school so close. But it's a donation to the school, which is an after-school program, and I am, I'm not a priest. I'm a volunteer who's played games for 45 years and loves getting the young people to look at more than just what's on the shelves at your local Indigo or Kohl's or I forget the big Barnes and Noble or Amazon or whatever, right? I want them to look deeper into the gaming stores and support their friendly local game stores. So far, Two Little Mice have sponsored the program with Household. Number of years ago, Thomas at Free League sponsored the school with Vasen, and sent us, and both those companies sent us a number of product, which was so supportive. And now Mr. Schwab and Secrets, Secrets Shadow of the Weird Wizard. Secrets is the GM guide, as it were. So I very much appreciate this. I think that for libraries, schools, people who are willing to devote their time to these places to teach new games, different games, should be very, very supportive. I am completely and totally appreciative and aghast at how much support I have had from these three companies, and I think that you should support them because of their generosity. We live in a very rural situation, in a very rural province, and most of these young people do not have access to anything other than internet and games, and very rarely, other than class, interact with each other face to face. I will end on this. Teach the young people to play. It may not be your children, but get your police checks. Make sure that you've got safety tools that involve you. Make sure that you have another neutral adult, not a parent, not a friend, someone neutral who's making sure that you're okay. Be in a room where there's glass so that you can be seen. But teach the young people, and get your police check, teach the young people the game. And the game truly is not, online is great, but there's nothing better than face to face. The children, the youth are learning how to communicate with each other through these imaginative games. And I cannot tell you how much this is meant to the parents and how much it's meant to the youth individually. I've seen them grow from being very shy, awkward, and unable to articulate themselves over the past 3 years into people who absolutely are able to articulate themselves, to be more bold with each other. And they've known each other for years, but they are developing their personalities. Now, this is a normal thing, but outside of the pads and the phones and the video cameras and all this stuff, they're learning how to interact in a way that will help them socially in the future. So it's not simply a game, it's an opportunity in so many ways to simply just interact and sit with each other. So there's a didactic and EI, an emotional intelligence aspect to this that I believe is very, very important. So this will be continued in 2025. That's it. Gosh, I've spoken a lot longer than I thought. But for those of you who have watched me for a long time, you know that I do speak this long. So anyway, I hope that I set everything up and that it is recording and that nothing's died. And so thank you very much for this year, for watching, for the new people who have started watching the channel. I thank you for the 4 or 5 who have recently joined, and I hope that you gain joy out of this hobby. And if you're watching something that's just making you feel shit about the games you're playing, or you're just getting upset because the anxiety of everything, or the politics that's around, or anything that's around, if you're being dragged down by a video, stop watching the friggin' video and move on to something else that's going to bring you up, lift you up, and it's going to be worth your time. So take care. Have a happy, happy new year. And I hope that your gaming is really enjoyable this new year.